This is Shelley Craft on SNNLive, and we're coming to you live in New York City. I have with me Francois Michelon from ENDRA Life Sciences. It's a publicly traded company, and the symbol is NDRA. Francois, welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you, Shelley. Pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you. Let's get started with an overview of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Great. ENDRA Life Sciences, based in Ann Arbor, is a company that is bringing new capabilities to ultrasound. We currently have a laboratory imaging system used by some of the world's leading cancer researchers, including Stanford University, University of Michigan, and universities in Asia. And I'm excited to say that in 2018, we'll be expanding that technology to the human clinical market with a first application focused on liver disease.
How does it work?
We use a scientific principle called Thermo-Acoustics, and Thermo-Acoustic Enhanced UltraSound is just that. It's an enhancement of ultrasound that uses a different energy source, be it laser light or low-dose RF energy, to stimulate tissue, and then we listen for that on the ultrasound, and we overlay valuable new clinical information on an existing ultrasound image.
So you're hitting tissue with an image, and you're listening to a sound, the variance of which can calculate certain anomalies.
Almost. It's essentially, we pulse an energy source to a tissue, and we create a small thermoelastic expansion that creates a very small sonic wave that you can hear on ultrasound. This is broadly used in applications for clinical research, but we believe we're the only company to date to have really translated that scientific principle into meaningful IP, into meaningful images, then add new information to ultrasound. And by that I mean clinicians will be able to see things such as tissue composition, function, and temperature on ultrasound that they can only do on CT or MRI today. So this is about bringing better healthcare to more people.
Francois, I want to stay with the technology a little bit more because I want you to explain the science even more about the medical device and also about the data capture.
Well, our Thermo-Acoustic Enhanced UltraSound, or TAEUS as we're branding it, is really about broadening the capabilities of ultrasound. And ultrasound, since its creation in the 60s, has really evolved with little companies like ENDRA. Things like Doppler and 3D came from small companies like ENDRA. They expanded the utility of ultrasound and were later adopted by the major ultrasound manufacturers. And I'm in fact very happy to say that we have a strategic partnership with the leading ultrasound manufacturer, GE Healthcare. We've just renewed that partnership, and I think as a CEO of a small company, it's extremely validating to be finalizing the development of that technology and also have GE's commercial support when we launch next year.
Also, tell me about the technology and the science behind the data capture.
Sure. So we're really a platform technology. We have multiple clinical applications, and I really would like investors to think of us as a software company with multiple software applications. Our first one is going to be overlaying a fat measurement on an ultrasound so that you can diagnose the earliest stages of liver disease, specifically non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. The only way you can do that today, Shelley, is with an MRI or a surgical biopsy. That's our competition, and if you view it from that perspective, highly impractical. We want to be able to become essentially as ubiquitous as a blood pressure cuff at the point of care at your primary care physician, but for liver disease.
And if you're already established with a code for reimbursement, this is probably just code A.
So we're actually not yet reimbursed. We'll certainly be seeking a CPT reimbursement specifically for our application. But the nice thing about our technology is that it rides on top and supplements ultrasound, which is reimbursed. And so that will help in terms of adoption for us going forward. We'll also have subsequent applications. So liver disease is a big problem. Over 1 billion people affected globally. GE, our partner, is very keen to focus on liver disease. But then we have tissue temperature measurement to help guide surgical interventions or cardiological interventions for AFib, for example, to help a clinician at the point of care with ultrasound see where the heat is going into the human tissue. You can only do that on an MRI today. And MRIs are great. The problem is they're big, they're expensive, and there aren't that many of them globally. So we're, again, bringing better healthcare to a lot of people who won't have it.
But then again, and the reality is that this is less expensive than an MRI,
Indeed.
and it's not meant to replace
No,
the MRI
no.
or a biopsy
Not
for
at
that
all.
matter.
In fact, GE completely understands that. They understand that they're one of the biggest manufacturers of MRI and CT systems, and they understand that a lot of places, including Asia and places in the US and Europe, are never going to buy an MRI. It's $2 to $3 million. You have to build a big room around it. It's a Ferrari. But most people won't have access to that. Therefore, can we bring better health care to the point of care with ultrasound, which is broadly available? And that's really our play.
And look, consequently, it's going into a marketplace that there's already,
Huge.
there's technicians out there that know how to use the equipment.
Indeed. So our first commercial strategy is really to sell an accessory with that first liver software application I mentioned into the large installed base of ultrasound. And if you do the basic math, Shelley, there are about 300,000 cart-based non-prenatal ultrasound systems in global use today that we view as potential customers. If you multiply that number times our $40,000 to $50,000 product, you get an enormous number, a $12 billion total addressable market. As a CEO, that tells me something. I don't need to get 10, 20% of the market to have a large business. I can get 2, 3, 4% and have a $2, 3, or $400 million business. And that's not even including the licensing opportunity. Long term, I don't want to be in the hardware business. There are a lot of ultrasound users that could use our accessory. We'll help them expand the utility of that existing ultrasound that they have in their office. But longer term, I want to be like Doppler. I want to build our technology into existing ultrasound systems, and I think our partnership with GE is a strong validation and a good step towards that.
What's your background?
My background, I spent 20 years in commercial leadership roles at companies, in fact, like GE Healthcare, Smith & Nephew, and Biomet. My parents were French immigrants. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, but I get stuck with a funny name nonetheless.
Where did you get the name ENDRA from?
ENDRA is derived from the Indian goddess of rain. And, it's kind of simple and catchy, and we like it.
Francois, let's get your website out there for our investor audience, if you would.
Sure. ENDRAInc.com. That's ENDRAINC, one word, .com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Francois Michelon, ENDRA Life Sciences, publicly traded company, and the symbol is NDRA. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from New York City. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Shelley.
My pleasure.